the story of how modern-day democracies began. 8,000 years ago, ancient Greeks created the world's first democracy, influencing our modern political systems around the world. Ancient Greece gave birth to democratic governance, which profoundly impacted how we conduct politics today. In this video, we will explore the origins of democracy, how it developed, how it has continued to shape our world, even after thousands of years. So let's get started. First off, let us talk about how the ancient Greeks pioneered the idea that people should have a say in how they are governed. Back in ancient Athens, the birthplace of Western civilization, they came up with the concept of democracy around 8 other elite class who had more power than everyone else. But Athenian democracy was different. It was based on the idea that citizens should have the power to participate directly in government. This meant that ordinary people like you and me could vote on laws and policies that affected our lives. Instead of having a small group of aristocrats make decisions for everyone else. And guess what? It worked. Athens became one of the most prosperous and influential city-states in ancient Greece because its citizens were so engaged in their government. Now you might be wondering why the Greeks came up with this idea in the first place. Well, there are a few theories. Some scholars think that the Greeks were inspired by the Roman Republic, which was founded on the principle of representative democracy. Others think that they developed their own form of democracy independently, because it was simply the best way to govern a city-state. Whatever the reason, the Greeks realized that when citizens are involved in government, everyone benefits, including the leaders. When citizens are engaged in government, leaders can't abuse their power without being held accountable. That's because in a democracy, leaders are elected by the people and serve at their pleasure. If a leader starts acting in a way that doesn't benefit the people, they risk being voted out of office. As a result, leaders in a democracy are incentivized to act in the best interests of their constituents. Of course, this doesn't mean that democracies are perfect and that all leaders are ethical. But it does mean that democracies are better equipped to hold leaders accountable and prevent abuses of power than other forms of government. Now that we understand why the Greeks developed democracy, let's take a closer look at how it worked in practice. So how did the ancient Greeks put this radical new form of government into practice? Well, they created a system of directed democracy, in which all eligible citizens could participate directly in making laws and policies. This meant that citizens could vote on laws and policies directly rather than electing representatives to do it for them. This was made possible by the fact that Athens was a small city-state with a relatively homogeneous population. Most of the people who lived in Athens were free adult males who owned property and were considered citizens. Women, slaves, and foreigners were not considered citizens and therefore could not participate in politics. However, for the time period, this was pretty inclusive. For example, women in ancient Rome did not have the right to vote until the early 20th century. And slavery was not abolished in the United States until the 19th century. So while Athenian democracy was not perfect, it was still a step in the right direction. Now let's talk about the role of the assembly in ancient Athenian democracy. The assembly was a gathering of all eligible male citizens, in which they came together to discuss and vote on laws and policies that affected their city-state. Every male citizen could attend the assembly and participate in debates. They could also propose new laws and vote on whether to go to war or make peace with other states. The assembly was the heart of Athenian democracy, because it was where citizens could come together and make their voices heard. The assembly met regularly in a large open space called the Agora, which is now known as the Nix. The assembly was open to all male citizens, and any citizen could speak at the assembly if he had something to say. This meant that even the poorest or most uneducated citizen could participate in the political process and influence the decisions that affected his life. In addition, Athens had a system of magistrates who were responsible for enforcing the laws and policies that were decided on by the assembly. These magistrates were elected by the citizens and served one-year terms in office. This helped to ensure that the government was responsive to the needs of the people and that no one person or family had too much power. The ancient Greeks were so proud of their democratic system that they even created a festival called the Panathenaea in honor of Athena, the goddess of democracy. The Panathenaea was a celebration of democracy and a way to educate young Athenians about their civic duty to participate in government. During the festival, a young boy would be selected to represent each tribe of the 10 tribes of ancient Athens, and they would march in procession carrying olive branches and other symbols of peace and unity. This symbolized the importance of civic duty and the need for all Athenians to work together for the common good. So how did ancient Greek democracy shape our world today? Well, it turns out that the ancient Greeks were onto something. Their ideas about democracy and civic engagement continue to inspire people around the world today. In fact, many of the democratic ideals that we hold dear today can be traced back to ancient Greece. For example, the idea that all people are equal and should have a say in government, the importance of civic duty, and the need for government to be accountable to the people. All of these ideas can be found in the writings of ancient Greek philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. They argued that democracy was not only the best form of government, but also the best way to live. They believed that democracy fostered individual freedom and allowed people to reach their full potential. They also believed that democracy was the best way to ensure justice and equality for all people. Another way that ancient Greek democracy shaped our world is through the development of political parties and elections. In ancient Athens, citizens would gather in groups called parties to discuss political issues and candidates. They would then vote for the candidates they wanted to see in government. This system of political parties and elections is still used today to choose leaders and make decisions in many countries around the world. Today, ancient Greek democracy continues to inspire people around the world to fight for greater political inclusion and representation. For example, the Arab Spring uprisings of 2010 and 2011 were in part inspired by the ideals of ancient Greek democracy. The protesters in Egypt, Libya, and Tunisia called for greater democracy and accountability from their governments. They were also inspired by the ancient Greeks' belief that all people are equal and should have a say in government. In conclusion, ancient Greek democracy was a groundbreaking innovation that changed the course of history. Its influence can be seen in the political systems of many countries around the world today. From the United States to Greece, France, India, South Africa, and beyond. The principles of democracy continue to inspire people to demand greater political inclusion and representation. The ancient Greeks' belief in the power of the people to shape their own destiny remains a powerful ideal that can help us overcome some of the biggest challenges facing our world today. So let us continue to build on the legacy of ancient Greek democracy and work towards a world that is more just, equitable, and democratic for all. All right, guys, that's a wrap on this episode. We hope you enjoyed learning about the ancient Greeks and their contributions to our world. If you want to keep the learning, fun, and games going, be sure to check out our website. You can play games, take quizzes, and explore more historical civilizations. We've got something for everyone. So head on over to our website and let the learning continue. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.